Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm very excited because I have a brand new episode of Straight from the Source for you guys. This time I chatted with season 18 voice contestant Zan Fiskum, and we talked about everything from her unprecedented season that was filmed in the midst of a pandemic, working with John Legend, and her upcoming single and album. And if you guys stick around to the end, I actually have a snippet of her new music for you. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. My name is Brianna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, thanks for agreeing to chat with me.
Absolutely, I'm excited.
Yeah. So, where have you been quarantining?
So my tiny house is on my parents' property. So, I've just been here and it's nice being able to be here because I'm not completely isolated. My family is around on the property, so.
That's awesome. So, I know you showcased the tiny house a little bit on The Voice, and by the way, it's super cute. Have you had the chance to do any renovations or little upgrades since you've probably been home a little bit more the past couple of months?
Yes, I've been doing some painting. I'm going with like a different style right now. I like sanded down my whole porch and stained it. So I'm kind of in the middle of like redoing a lot of it. So
Nice, very cool. Lots of DIY projects then.
yes.
Awesome. Well, aside from the projects, it also seems like you've been staying kind of busy the last couple of months. I've seen some virtual performances, some Instagram live sessions, new content on social media. And I think I recently saw a segment on your IGTV called 10 Questions. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was doing that for a little bit after the show. Basically, like I had friends from The Voice, and I asked them 10 questions that the fans came up with. And then kind of throughout, we played like music, some originals, and it was really fun. And I think it was cool to like, you know, get to like reconnect with friends from the show, but also like share that with people who were following our journey.
Definitely. Yeah, just watching some of those, you guys seem like you have this awesome bond. And even before you guys met, going back a little bit, what even put The Voice on your radar in the first place and made you say, hey, I'm going to audition for that?
It was like so completely random, and I was just kind of feeling like stuck a little bit. And I was like, I don't know, like I went and like searched the website for The Voice, and I saw that you could do an online submission. I was like, well, I might as well. Like I already had a recorded video. I'm just gonna send it in and see what happens. And I never would have expected that type of a thing to have worked out. I watched The Voice as a kid and thought like, oh, that would be cool for me to do someday, but it didn't seem like real or realistic. So it's kind of just on a whim, and then things continued to progress, and I was like, well, I guess this is what's happening now.
Right. That's so cool. The audition process I know is probably a lot lengthier even than we see on television. So for you, what was the most like unexpected part that you didn't kind of pick up on was going to be a thing when you were seeing it on TV?
I had expected that it would be longer than what you see on TV, but it is way, way, way longer. And I think one of the craziest parts is you are completely in the dark. So they'll be like, yeah, we'll probably contact you sometime within the next 3 months. So, have your schedule clear because we'll call you and say we want you to come to LA. And if you have, complications with something you're committed to already, then we just won't have you come. So, like, okay, so it's basically like a year of just being at their disposal. Right. And it was just a weird feeling because I'd never had anything like that before.
Right. Well, I mean, it clearly paid off. You had a great audition. And I mean, when you walked on that stage, were you thinking to yourself, I want John Legend as my coach?
I was, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, Nick obviously was the first one to turn around. And I mean, what was going through your mind when you got that first chair turn, even if it wasn't John Legend to start with?
Yeah, it was a relief because as you get a chair turn, you're on the show. That's like the number one priority. So I was just like, oh, okay, we're good now. And yeah, I went into it like I for sure want John.
Mm-hmm.
And then Nick had some great things to say. I kind of had to like think about it for a second.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, was there anything at all that Nick could have possibly said? If he was like, you can join the Jonas Brothers, we'll extend it. Was there anything that could have gotten you on Team Nick?
I mean, he said some very convincing things. I'm really glad that I went with John because I think we connected really well.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like this close to like switching things up last minute.
So obviously you chose Team Legend. You sailed through battle, knockout rounds. You were gearing up for the live shows. When did you get that call? Hey, we're going to be filming season 18 from home.
Well, man, I'm trying to remember when it was. It was kind of like up in the air for a little bit. We hadn't heard from them. And then I think we got like an email that was like, hey, we're trying to like work things out. And then they did a big Zoom call with everybody and let us all know. And we're like, man, like this is crazy. And it was kind of crazy because I think at the time, everyone really wasn't sure what the deal was with COVID. Like, how serious is this?
Right.
And it was kind of like, oh, this is like a big deal. Like, there's some crazy stuff going on. Everybody's life is on hold. The TV world is on hold. So it was, kind of a crazy conversation.
Yeah. And so what was going through your mind then as it started to become more real? You're getting light kits and sound equipment and all that stuff coming to your house. What are you thinking? Like, this is my season now.
Yeah, I tried to adapt as best as I could and just like approach it with like, how can I make like everything I do be the best that it could be?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I really wanted to like jump on was like having the most control over like the music. So I made all the tracks for the songs that I performed from home, and none of the other artists were doing that, which ended up being the reason why John chose me to go through to the top 9. So it was a bummer to have to stay home, but I think that I was able to adapt well, and it ended up working out in my favor.
Yeah. So then with creating those performances, the remote performances, which one would you say was the hardest to kind of finagle with all that was going on and all that you were doing and things other people were doing remotely?
That's tough because they were all hard. So when I did Blowing in the Wind in my RV, we had so much stuff in there that we were like there was like this much space and you're like having to like punch through. There's all the lights and cameras. So that was hard because of that. But then with my other performance, I performed at a hospital for some nurses that the show had helped schedule that. And then I come back home. I had like 30 minutes to shower and get ready to set up the whole stage area. And then it was like, you set up, you sound check, and then you go. So I was like sound checking and like dabbing in my makeup at the same time. Yeah. My parents were like trying to help me. So it It was crazy.
I mean, if there was any chaos, turmoil in the background, coming on screen, everything looks super smooth, if that's any consolation. It looked polished from the audience's perspective, definitely. So with then the prep for the performances, obviously, when you were doing the pre-recorded episodes, you had John there face to face, but then with the lives, obviously, it was probably like a setup kind of similar to this, a video call situation. Yeah. So how was that kind of adjusting for you? How did that work? Were you okay with that? Was it really difficult to go from face to face to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I would have preferred to be face to face, but there was like a cool element that, like, you know, you got to share with, because I saw John as like a mentor, you know, a music mentor, and I got to share like a little bit more of a personal side with me because he saw my home and the place where I really grew to be an artist, because, you know, I have lived in this house my whole life, my parents' house, and I think that there was something special about getting to share that with someone you view as like a mentor, you know?
And so, I mean, how cool is that experience? Did John give you any kind of like unexpected advice during your time together that you're still gonna like really hold near and dear to your heart forever?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of advice, and one of the things that I loved most about him is he didn't sugarcoat. It was very encouraging, but he was really comfortable with giving you just tips for growth. And that was even challenging for me at first, but was good because I'm like, I should always be in situations where I am growing and getting better. You should never be above, you know, constructive criticism.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
That's so cool. So you guys obviously seem to have a connection on the show. Have you stayed in touch afterwards?
Yeah, we have. He's obviously a very busy person. But yeah, he messaged me and was like, you know, send me your stuff that you're working on. And so I've sent him actually my next song that's about to come out. I sent that to him and he said he really loved it. So yeah, not like a ton of communication, but he's been listening to the tracks I've been sending him.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So bond with John aside, again, the bond with your fellow Voice alums, you guys seem super close, which is, I mean, honestly incredible considering the fact that you guys were distant for a good chunk of your season. And I mean, obviously it would be easy to kind of point out the negatives of that time, but what do you think there were any positives that did come out of having a remote voice experience?
I would say definitely, like I had just said before, getting to make my own tracks, I think was a positive for me. I think, you know, in some ways it's hard to see other positives. I think it would have been better with all the other aspects had it been actually in LA. But I think we all adapted really well and made do.
And so after The Voice, typically artists have like the momentum, right? There's a new fan base, things are exciting, things are moving. How did you kind of deal with coming off of the season and being in quarantine still and not having that kind of post-Voice boost? How did you deal with that?
That was really hard for me for a little while. So I was supposed to go on tour. I had a lot of really cool stuff planned, and you know, the world was at a halt. So I, with some help from some great people, processed through it. Like, you know, you need to just kind of accept the fact that this is how things are right now, and feel like I'm there for the most part. And I think it's, you know, important to remember I'm not alone.
Definitely.
Kind of everybody else is in the same boat.
Right.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
I'm sure. I mean, totally unprecedented times for sure. But I mean, regardless of being at home, you're still continuously growing a fan base. People love you. Was there anyone during your time on the show or afterwards that you kind of fangirled over reaching out to you?
I mean, I know that like Maggie Rogers had reached out and that was like, what?
Okay.
But I don't, yeah, I think she was probably the one that I really freaked out over. I'm not like the biggest like obsessed over like celebrities type
Okay.
of people, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I just want to be friends with all the celebrities.
Right. Just have them in your phone to call them up whenever you hang out.
Hey man, how you doing?
That's awesome. So, like I said before, you've been busy these past couple of months, and you have a single coming out on September 25th called Still Thinking About You. So, who is that song about? Tell me about the single.
Yes, I wrote the song. I started writing the song actually in 2018, so I've been holding on to it for a while. And I was in, you know, my first relationship ever. It was a really serious, long relationship. And there were some complicated reasons as to why our relationship ended. And it was just a lot to process. So I had actually gotten a text from his mom and was just like crying in my car, and I came up with the chorus like right then and there.
Wow.
And this song kind of helped influence the name of the album, which is Sleeping Problems, because along with that experience and a lot of other things I had been going through at the time, I just had like the hardest time sleeping. It was just a lot of, you know, my best friend moved away and my sister moved away, and I had recently moved back to Washington from Florida. So it's like everything was, I felt like, just kind of pulled out from underneath me. So it was a really crazy season and time of my life. And I'm really excited to share it with people because I think it's so personal, and I think it's important to create art that is vulnerable like that and create a space for people to heal and process like through music, because other people go through that too, you know? So I'm really excited to get it out there and share it with people.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it on YouTube and it's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm sure that it will do super well. Last year around this time, you released a single. I think it was called Because He Lives. And then this year with Still Thinking About You. I mean, how do you think you've grown as an artist from then to now?
It's insane. The process of making the album has helped me grow. I'm still like learning who I am as a person and an artist, but my musicianship has grown. I've learned new instruments. My songwriting's gotten better. There's so much, and it's kind of cool for me. I look at the album and I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I'm like watching myself grow up in some ways. I like it.
So cool. So on your website, I think I saw that the original expected release of the album was spring 2020. Did the pandemic kind of push that back?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was The Voice that pushed it back because we weren't allowed to release anything.
Okay.
And then it was the pandemic, and I just kind of said, like, screw it. I'm making it happen in September.
That's awesome. So it's going to come out this month.
Not the whole album.
Okay.
But Still Thinking About You comes out September 25th.
Okay. So album expected release time. Do you have a timeline right now?
I'm still trying to figure that out a little bit. Okay. So I'm probably going to work Still Thinking About You for a couple of months, and then release the album. I don't have like an exact date in mind yet though.
And so then what, I guess, do you hope your fans, who I think I've seen called Zan fans,
Yeah.
What do you want them, once the album is released, what do you hope that they take away from it?
That's so hard for me to answer. I don't know. I hope that they like it. I hope that, I feel like, I wish I've kind of said a little bit, but I hope that it helps anybody who's in like a similar season. I hope that it like puts words to the emotions that someone might be feeling or processing through. That's something I'm really passionate about.
Awesome. So I think that's all I have for you. Do you have anything that you'd like to add, that you'd like to update people about?
I mean, yeah, just if you can pre-save my song, that would be amazing. It's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, all the stuff. I'm so excited to release it out to the world and can't wait for people to enjoy it.
Awesome.
It's so great to meet you.
Yeah, so nice to meet you as well, and good luck with that single release. I'm sure it's going to do fabulous, and I can't wait to hear the album when it does come out.
Thank you so much.
My body's tired, but it won't rest. I'm still thinking about you. My aching heart won't go to bed. I'm still thinking about you. My body's tired, but it won't rest. I'm still thinking about you. And my aching heart won't go to bed, 'cause I'm still thinking about you. About